Okay, hello, everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. And here tonight, we have some amazing guests all the way from Canada. But before we do get started, this episode is sponsored by Dubakshata Radio, where you can listen to this interview we have here tonight in high quality right now. And tonight, here, people, we have two amazing artists hailing all the way from Canada, the one and only Davy and Elina.
What's up?
Hi.
Hello, guys. I
Excited?
know,
Our
yes,
kitchen. Being
man.
here.
I am super excited to have you guys on tonight. As we've talked also privately, we haven't seen each other in over a year. I think
Yeah.
since Florida at the
Oh, it
Unity
feels like a
Dance
lot longer.
Festival. Yeah, it's been definitely a lot longer.
Wow.
And, but realizing as well that with dance, I think a lot of us is just taken for granted all of the amazing events we kind of had pre-COVID.
Oh yeah.
Realizing over these last few months, close to about a year for some, realizing that how much these dance events have meant to us, not just in a physical standpoint, but a mental standpoint. It's definitely helped many of us maybe get through some humps and hurdles over the past few years. But for me as well, realizing that we have artists like yourselves coming onto this platform to be able to just speak about their experiences, speaking their truths, but also being able to celebrate and appreciate the contribution that people like you have given to our dance community over the years. And again, it is an honor to have both of you on tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for
Appreciate it.
having us.
Absolutely. And for many who don't know, dance community, Canada is in the building. For many people who
Right?
don't know it, yeah, I mean, we
Say
have
that again. It's
represented,
Canada.
We're Canadian, babe.
yes, a
Yeah, each put like a counter somewhere. How many times we say A, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So just
nah, no worries at all. And for me, I love having guests, especially from different parts of the world, as well as the states. But really getting a chance to understand that the artists come from all different parts of the world, from Canada and abroad, and really being able to share their talents with people like us from the states is essential and necessary. Understanding that over the years, we've had people like the infamous Cadence Dance Company having some amazing artists like you two on the platform have been so beneficial because especially of the fusion that besides cadence you guys have given time and time again on the stages really inspire the masses. For myself as a videographer recently in the scene, that notion is held very prevalent, especially with conversations that I have with many artists beyond the dance floor when we have those private moments. And I ask them, what is a place that has really a great fusion of dancers? And Canada definitely is one of the top three
oh,
countries that
that's so
we
good.
talk
Oh my
about.
God.
So cool.
So,
Yay, Canadian.
right? We're not just
Yeah,
great.
and realizing too is that having you guys on tonight, I love is that with the field of zouk dancing, with many artists that I've had on, many of them had experience, but right now I believe I've had only about one person officially who has told me that they are completely a zouk dancer with training, particularly in that style. So I think it's really imperative for myself to have people in that scene, the zouk scene, on this platform because it's important to show love to all styles, but
That's
also
for sure.
having artists like yourselves that have the
Exactly.
right information and the history and the knowledge. So, I mean, tonight I feel is going to really, really be impactful. But at least before we do get started, during the conversation that we're going to have tonight, you'll be seeing real live time comments coming in. For example, we have here Derek Wright saying,
Derek.
Good.
What's up, Derek?
Elena says, Elena, you guys are super dope. Groovers Unite.
Yeah,
Um,
that Derek the Groover, he gets it.
We haven't
know,
met, but he knows you, but all good.
and realizing too is that with our dance scene, the focus is collaboration and unity. And having you again, both of you on tonight is great because we can learn so much about what you do on stage, but also the people that you are off stage is so important. So,
Yeah.
for me, I love asking the artists of besides what they've been able to do on the stage and these electrifying performances and demos, really focusing on the beginnings, how it all started. So, I mean, whoever wants to go first, I would love to know kind of the journey of how it started and also how you met.
You want to get to that?
You can go. You can go first.
All right,
I'm
so
always talking anyway.
Yeah. So for the most part of it, Cadence has been in the scene for a good 10 years now. So I've been traveling with Cadence and performing with Cadence for most of my dance career. For the most part of it, it just pretty much went to Congress, whether it be in the States or abroad or anything like that. Fast forward to just around 2018, where I actually took the opportunity to go to Vancouver for the first time in my life with Cadence. So we went there. That's the first time I actually met Elina. Surprisingly, just in what was it? I think it was in the room just
It
before
was in
show.
like a hotel room after the show.
Yeah.
We were just drinking.
Nothing fancy, but I kid you not, like I was probably like the most unaware, oblivious, quiet person there. Clifton was the one who knew Elina primarily from the past, and I was just kind of like the monkey in the room, like, oh, by the way, this is Davy.
Okay.
So, and I was just like, hey. So that's pretty much where it started. Clifton, like all people, like Clifton's got a lot of likes to break the ice for a lot of people, especially he likes to promote everyone on the team just to kind of like meet everyone. That way everyone knows Cadence for every person on the team. So he boasted me up, hyped me up, and telling me that, oh, you gotta get a chance to dance with Davey. He's awesome. In my mind, I'm like, you crazy, bro. I'm just kind of like, and then if I screw up, then what do I look like? I look like a bum. So we took that night. It was the last night, unfortunately, because we didn't meet until then. I think you came on the last night.
Yeah, I came on the last night.
So we met. And we instantly, as you mentioned this, there was just a good chemistry, which is what a lot of people unfortunately feel in the beginning, but fades off over time. But that chemistry actually lingered, and then we kind of like after the Congress over, we still maintained some contact. Truth be told, she's the one that actually found me first on Facebook.
Okay.
Background story: I'm a recruiter, like by profession. So
Okay.
So I found him. I like dancing with this guy. I'm like, I'm just gonna, befriend him and see what happens.
I took nothing of it. I'm just like, okay, so cool, she found me. Just type in Cadence and look for the Asian guy. Not too hard.
Yeah, the only one.
Fast forward after that, you covered a few like messages here and there on Facebook, and then found out that she was going to come down for another event that Cadence was actually hosting which
back on the mind came by.
when they came by. And then I think Clifton convinced you to come down, I think?
Yeah. So I came down, visited, and we danced again. And then eventually, you know what? I was like, there's something here that I hadn't found nor experienced in like my years of dancing, right? And we both kind of knew it, but we didn't want to say it either because, I was in a relationship as well, and it was kind of weird. So we kind of like put it aside until months later on, where my relationship ended at the time, and then I decided to pursue dance, as I had retired from dancing for a long time, and I wanted to get back into it. And him were the first kind of dance experience that I had when I came back from my dance retirement, and then now here we are.
Yep. So it's a lot. There's a lot of that happened in between there. It went from just her visiting Toronto from the time between the months for her work, and then eventually it just a random thought came into mind. You know what, we love dancing together, why not give us a little run on the show dance floor, kind of like on stage. One project led to another. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Our first first show was amazing. Our first hit in Vancouver, the first time.
Yeah, the very first one was like a small event in Vancouver, and then the really big for real one was in the Unity one where we met Diamond. So
Yep.
that was interesting experience. The Vancouver show as well, it was a long distance. We had never performed together ever, and then it was a small, just a social in Vancouver. You know, we worked with a local organizer there to bring him over to Vancouver, and we taught workshops there for the first time. But we found out then that we worked so well together that it just clicked. Like, didn't have to rehearse anything. Our values are the same. The way
we understood our musicality, our ears, our love for music, which is pretty much where there were a lot of, humbly speaking, there were a lot of gaps in my knowledge with dance, which, you know, a lot of people neglect to mention that no one's perfect. I'm not, but there was a lot of holes in my knowledge that she filled in, which kind of brings us to the next topic of why we are initially started as Eats Meets West, because she was a part from the west side and I was from the east side, and combining the two just kind of bridged the gap between both of us. I opened up her ears and concepts to a whole new world of zouk, and she brought me back to a whole old school technical aspect of genre from bachata, salsa, because she was doing a lot earlier than I was. She was actually in the dance scene prior to, before I even socially. So I learned a lot from her. She learned a lot from me, and from there just kind of built that foundation and going strong.
Man, and hearing about the story, especially from the beginning, I love because Elina, we've also talked, is that you were from Vancouver, and I'm assuming, Davey, you were from Toronto. And for many people who do not know, especially from the States, Canada is huge, and meaning it literally. So understanding. When you're coming from that, it's not that Vancouver's like an hour away from Toronto. It's literally
what time zones?
So if you think about it, in a sense, it's almost like California and New York.
It's exactly that, actually.
Yep.
So, you know, I definitely see the dedication that both of you have, especially combining both of your talents together as well to actually form this partnership. First through a virtual aspect and then physically, which we'll definitely get into later, especially my introduction to you both at the Unity Festival last year. But for me as well, a question I definitely have maybe for the both of you is, both of you coming from different parts of Canada, having different kind of dance communities. Can you give us an idea of what those scenes were like, especially for people like us from the States?
Yeah.
Talk about Vancouver.
Yeah, we can talk about Vancouver. Vancouver's has a lot smaller scene compared to Toronto, Montreal, of course, right? And like mentioned before in our private discussion, Vancouver is usually forgotten because nobody really knows that there's dancing in Vancouver. Not, you know, in Canada, let alone Vancouver, right? Like nobody really thinks to go to Vancouver to dance. But thankfully, in the past couple of years, past decade even, there has been lots of big events, and there has been a little bit more hype in Vancouver dancing, which is nice. Like but still, people still don't know the Vancouver scene very well. It's still very small. There's only a few top dance schools that are producing really great dancers as well, but there's only maybe one or two dance companies that have actually, you know, performed outside of Canada and gone to maybe Seattle or Vegas or LA, right? But because Vancouver's so far away, things are expensive when it comes to traveling for people, right? Some of the best events are Midwest to East Coast, and the only thing that Vancouver would have is LA and San Francisco, essentially, right? So there's a lot of limitations in terms of logistics and financials, right, for a lot of people in Vancouver. Because it's so far away and far removed from everything else. It's not like Toronto and Montreal, where it's a lot closer to the East Coast, where all the big events are. You just take your pick. Every week there's something going on that you can go to for, you know, low cost. But that's, you know, that's kind of some of the disadvantages of being on the West Coast in Vancouver, especially because it's so small that we don't get enough exposure. People don't think to come to us either. You know, organizers have to work a lot harder to bring people to Vancouver for the events, right? And it's expensive.
Much more money.
It's expensive city as well.
Yeah.
Organizers have to bust their asses to get people to the West Coast because no one really cares for it, right? So it's tough for the organizers, and I feel for them for sure. For the festival organizers in Vancouver, they have to work really hard to get people there.
Mm.
Yeah. And in Toronto's a big city in general to begin with, so you have options coming out of every corner.
Yeah, Toronto basically, just like you mentioned, like in at least the Toronto hub, you can get a lot more places just by driving. Like you can hit up Montreal for variation, which is also a great scene. You can drive down across the border in a couple hours. You can be in Buffalo. You can be close to New York, Vermont, like all these areas, Michigan, Detroit. They're all within like less than a day's
driving
drive.
distance.
So Toronto has a lot more diversity and a lot more options when it comes to reaching places, as well as different communities of dance scenes, as well as genres that are available to lots of people. So
that's really interesting. And then you also speak about how when both of you met, you kind of had expertise in different fields. Like you, Davy, had the experience in Zook, and you, Elina, you were especially more technical, but had a lot more as well, understandings of different styles. But having that understanding and that balance to say what works for both of us, because I think that is a big hurdle many couples have in terms of dancing together on a stage and branding themselves, because kind of finding the niche and understanding,
it's one of those things because a lot of times if a lot of couples are both very technical minded, which in turn, in my belief, is where the creative differences kind of clash, because I have my technical experience, she has her technical experience, and then that's where we kind of have some sort of arguments artistically or technically. But I wholeheartedly respect Elina's like ethic with dance, with technique and everything. Like I bow down to her in everything that she does. Someone asks me a technical question, literally it's just this one over here. Like just like for me, my dance life has been primarily just kind of like figured out on my own. Like I didn't have the luxury of lessons when I was growing up. I had, like a lot of people, we had just videos, we had whatever we can catch, whatever we saw in movies. Like we were
dirty dancing.
We were rewinding VHS back and forth just to figure out a move. Like I learned everything best I could. I taught myself salsa, I taught myself bachata, all those things before I entered the dance scene. So I lacked a lot of the technical knowledge. So from that matter, for me to come into the scene late with a limited technical knowledge, but just to kind of like street smarts my way into learning what I know and adapting that further, she kind of bridged a gap for me and completed my overall concept, which is why our partnership, I feel like, works beneficially for both of us, because where she can need some kind of that street sense of how moves are supposed to work without a count, without a mindset, and then vice versa when I need to understand how prep works on an 8 or a F1. Those things are definitely needed for both parties.
Yeah. And and he's the creative genius in this relationship, right?
Yeah.
This guy like spits out routines, like no other. And that's something that honestly I don't have, right? I have the ability to regurgitate techniques and teach people techniques and be as detailed as possible. Whereas him, like he's a creative mind. So like without him, what am I gonna do? I can't choreograph. You know what I mean? Like my choreography is like very, very limited. I'm not a choreographer. He's a choreographer, but I'm able to bring out his choreography to life. And that's what I do because of my techniques, maybe my background and my overall general dance training as well. So together, like we can balance each other out that way. And we determined that very early on in our partnership and relationship too, that we understand where we need to grow, in which areas we need to grow, so that we can collaborate together, and it becomes a non-ego battle.
Yeah, then right? there's no stepping over each other's boundaries, because that in turn will then lead to you're mixing up your priorities and shaking up what doesn't need to be messed up.
Yeah.
I totally agree, because over the years I've seen many couples on stages and realizing that sometimes even those slightest mishaps can really cause a lot of distractions off stage and really hurt that dance relationship and understanding from my perspective. You can train as hard as you want. You can just put all of the 10,000 hours in. But once you're on that stage, anything can happen, but you also learn how to adapt to every situation on
Yeah.
and off the stage. Because I think it's really important for people to know is that the greatest thing you can have besides the talent, besides the skill, is the professionalism and
Mm.
understanding is that if you want to make it, especially in this dance industry, being professional, really relaying those great impressions, but also being very knowledgeable about the craft that you are a part of, the art form, is essential because with both of you having expertise in different fields, realizing that you can join it together, but in turn calling that fusion is very
Yeah,
important because
absolutely.
especially we've seen over the years the controversies that people have talked about a lot, especially when it comes to zouk and topics like zouk and central bachata.
Mhm.
And for me, like I've told you as well privately, but also here is that I admire your routines and choreographies because it's fluid. It has emotion and it can tell a story.
Mhm.
Because too and far between, I've seen many couples on stages that I feel kind of look for the attention, look for the attention grabber, the move that they want to put in these routines that it will get me the standing ovation.
Yeah.
But I think it's really essential and something that Elina, you've told me a very simple quote, but it means so much. The topic of less is more. And, for me, I would
Yeah.
Right.
love for you to really expound on that and helping other people understand what that
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. I mean, I'll speak to that, and then Davey will
Yeah.
have his piece because he's also very
Yeah.
passionate about that, right? We both. This is something that we both have in common is bringing out our natural swag. That's what it is, right? Sometimes like people get too hung up on the moves and the techniques even, right, and you forget to just dance. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole point of us doing this is so we can dance, right? What about the dancing essence of dance? It's not just about the moves, it's not just about the performances or whatever, it's about the feel, right? It's about the feel of hearing the music, listening to the music, being able to dance to the music without having to do so many crazy things, right? So if you look at our routines, like we don't have the flashiest moves in the book. Like, we have some tricks here and there, but we really value the feel that may have been forgotten because of the hype of, popularity contests, social media, and all that stuff, right?
Everyone trying to outdo each other, and like, I got the better toss, I can throw higher, I got the heavier split, I can
Yeah.
spin longer than you.
Right.
It's,
So all of that is cool and it's great, and it's a great.
yeah, respect it.
We
Exactly.
respect it, and it's a goal. We train to be better too. We train to be able to do these cool things too.
Yeah.
But what we value the most is the actual human aspect of dancing. And that's why when you see our choreographies, there's a lot of emphasis on the storytelling, because we'd rather tell a story than do another spin or another lift or another trick. Like, everybody can do them, right?
Yeah.
It's harder to tell a story in a natural way that doesn't look pre-rehearsed or too scripted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we try to focus on that to bring out our natural human essence into our dancing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's pretty much that she hit it like the nail on the head. For the most part, it's based on the fact that when I'm making the choreography, like I'm an old school mentality, so a lot of these new moves I try to stay away from for the most part of it, only because like anything, they come and go. They're trends. A lot of flashy moves, and then they're cool now, and then they maybe it's been done, but then again, everything's been done. With limited resources, we can still and have been creating some amazing pieces from her ability, from my ability. Like every dancer, I'm broken 1001 ways already, so I don't have all the abilities to lift, all the abilities to throw and everything, but I've always been the key aspect to my choreography is that, like, if I can't draw you in, then you're never going to remember me or my legacy. in this case, our legacy, because, we always wanted to be remembered not for the best spins, the craziest tricks. At the end of the day, there's people who do that really well, and we respect that. And we know that we're already way far in our dance career that we probably won't be able to get to that level. So we can only enjoy the time, enjoy it now, and just keep doing what we do and keep pushing to be the best that we can be.
Based on us and what we're capable of doing, right? Based on our body type.
Yeah.
I'm short. I mean, I have short legs. I can't do certain things. and we've accepted that. He's got a broken shoulder.
So it's
and, I can make do.
So it's at the end of the day, you would never notice that on stage, because you know what? You see our enjoyment, you see the story. You see that we're not trying to entertain to be the point where we don't motivate people to be like, oh, I'll never be able to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of times we like to see people see us, and the greatest compliment is to be like, oh, it's so much fun that I could do that. Like, to us, that kind of lets people continue what they want to do, because at least they don't feel like they're demotivated watching this 5-time ballroom salsa on 2 champion and inspired to be them, knowing that it'll take them 3 broken ankles and a busted shoulder and collarbone to get there.
Yeah.
So,
man, you hit the, like you said, you hit the nail on the head, because I think a lot of people who are spectators or attendees at a lot of the events, socials, congresses, weekenders, festivals, you name it, don't realize sometimes of the toll it takes on many dancers' bodies, that over the years, these routines that you love and admire, you pay admission to go see, you don't understand the bumps and bruises and breaks and tears that goes along with it. I mean, some of the greatest dancers I've seen, especially in this dance scene, whether it's bachata, salsa, zouk, kizomba, I've had these conversations and them telling me about a meniscus tear, an ACL, a torn Achilles.
I was blessed the fact that I actually tore my meniscus, but I got fortunately enough to have it, for lack of a better word, actually, like, it popped back into an asymptomatic state, which forced me to get into better shape as a dancer, get more fit, get my weight down, because once upon a time I was actually dancing as hard as I was, over 250 pounds. And which is probably why my knee kind of busted me to begin with. So
wow, so I have no idea. Well, I got to give love to you, because at one point you were a big guy. So I got to give love to him.
Even once upon a time, you would see these dancers on stage. You'd be like, yo, he dances pretty good for a big guy. Trust me. So I ran that card until, things happen. But nevertheless, it's you got to do what you got to do, and you got to try to, fight through the fire, and whatever you can come out of it, it's the best that you can be, and never look back at it.
And I mean, it brings us to kind of this year and COVID and all that stuff happening today, right? And Zook as well. When I first started learning Zook, I realized that this dance and this genre requires a lot of athleticism if you want to do it right and do it correctly and safely. You don't just roll your head. You don't just do all these things. I mean, this dance is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. So many people have, injured their necks and their back. People don't talk about it. People don't want to typically admit, that they're in pain. And that's the dancer mentality, where we push through, we're fighters, and we do whatever we can to contort our bodies.
Yeah, everything is just sore on a regular basis.
Yeah, we're just in pain all the time, and we think it's normal. It's not.
And this is why I have to give appreciation to people like you, because the honesty and transparency, because understanding, especially with different styles that people dance, different genres, there are different injuries. But what you hit on that I really love is the topic of Zouk. You being categorized as Zouk dancers, but also fusion dancers. I think it's very important, because I talk about this with a lot of bachata-esque or bachata-specific dancers, about the miseducation, the misinformation of many teachers that are disseminating their knowledge onto other students and not teaching them the right technique, the right positioning, the right hand placement, weight transfers, everything. Because I have seen, and like you understand as videographers, the footage we put out ultimately at the end, the final edit, final cuts are made to show how beautiful the event is, but it's also the footage we don't show.
Of course.
Which is why we like this. Our social media primarily shows us becoming better as dancers.
Our progress, right?
Progress, and the fact that this is what, as the whole cliche with reality and expectations. This is what reality is. Many hours of failures
and falling,
and finding out that failing 100 times, realizing that you found out 100 ways not to do it.
Yeah, and so. I was chatting back and forth with this girl who's a zooker also from the dance scene, and she's New York, and she's been following us since our partnership, right? And she's been a great supporter of us. And I don't know if she's on right now, but she's been commenting on our progress. And the one thing that resonated with me that she said the other day, she's like, "I love that you guys show your flaws."
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, and she said it makes me feel like I can do it too.
Yeah.
Right? That's like the biggest compliment that you could get as a teacher, right?
I remember I used to watch a lot of pro artists getting ready for a show, like for example, like Karen Cardo or something like that. Those guys are like, I would, not to speak so morbidly, but like just trip for 1 second, just so I know you're human. Like I would just hope to see that they are human. That
are you guys human?
Like they can trip, that they can go off time for a split second. Like that to me is more motivating. That hey, so they are human. So that means a normal person can potentially get there. So it's those kind of things that it's for us. It's primarily our drive to keep people in good hopes that.
Yeah. We want to be able to inspire people who think that they can't do it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because you understand also, as artists, with the spectators and the attendees that pay to see you guys, they want to see the vulnerability in the art, not just so much what they do on stage, but the presentation they have off stage. Because a lot of artists have to understand is that that first impression means a lot.
For sure.
It definitely is important. And I say this, and we can definitely touch on this topic and what you both have been speaking about, especially with Clifton of Cadence Dance Company, a company that I've loved for many years and our dance scene has loved because of their focus on being vulnerable, their focus on stepping outside of the box, their focus on bringing fusion. And I'd love to understand really the overall experiences or the lessons that you've been able to learn while working with Cadence.
Yeah, I mean,
so you've learned a lot.
So I've learned a lot from Cadence.
You're the freshie right now,
and because I'm the fresh meat on the team, right? But the one thing that I've always appreciated about Cadence since back in the day, like 2012, when I first met Clifton and when I first saw Cadence live on stage, was again the originality, right? Cadence was Clifton and the entire Cadence mentality. They've been way ahead of their time since so long ago, right? So, and that was the thing that made me basically pack my bags and leave Vancouver and go to Toronto, aside from him. But Cadence is a big part of my move. And it was essentially thanks to Clifton for planting the seeds in my head. So, and we kind of follow that the path as well, right? So we want to be different too. Like, like I mentioned earlier, like we purposely don't try to look like other people because we don't want to be like, oh, that they remind me of so and so, right? We don't want to put ourselves in a category where we remind people of other people.
Yeah.
And we knew getting into this partnership and getting into our type of creation and our type of fusion, we knew that there's not going to be that big of a market that would appreciate what we do.
Exactly.
We totally get it. And it's not everybody's cup of tea. And that's fine for us, but we just want to be different. And we don't care what that means. If that means getting us one like per video, we don't care. At least we have our own freedom to be creative and we don't look like anyone else. And that was our goal, right?
Our expression has been that motto ever since, even with me with Cadence, is the reason why I've been in them for so long, is because they've always been not one to go with the masses. Like they always they have been, and I've always been one of the reasons that we always continue to do something different to, expand otherwise. So that way, again, as you mentioned, like, a lot of times when you go to these congresses, you kind of watch all these shows and it's a salsa, bachata, salsa, bachata. And then they literally at the end of the day, if you literally have them wear the exact same costume every time, they would look exactly the same.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, to break up that monotony with a cadence routine, something like us or anything, that you have a better chance of making an impact with the audience, where they're starting to keel over from 7 million bachata spins, sensual rolls and tricks and everything. It's refreshing, and we want it to be, not to us, it's kind of like a more effective way to be remembered at a Congress, especially if it's a Latin scene, which is a lot of it is, mostly directed into a genre by genre basis, that we can really let our presence be known, especially being from Canada.
Yeah.
And it's that notion that we talk about of Canada feeling overlooked, because you have so many artists and companies from all over the world. But I think also that helps, because when you got companies like Cadence, artists like yourselves, and others from Canada that I've seen over the years, the difference is when you're coming, especially to like the States, like you said, the money that gets involved, the time and the effort. When you're going to an event, you're going to give 110%, because
exactly. We love it. That's one of our respects, that we would love to just kind of make our presence known, even if it's not the most jaw-dropping routine. We're just like, Canada's got some bite. At the end of the day, that's all we love to show off, and just give that aspect that we're not all beaver tails, and
don't forget about us.
all stereotypes that come with
Canadians. I swear.
Absolutely, because I've seen like the fusion in terms of the dance hall, and then you have the bachata, you have the salsa, you have the zouk, and it all blends in together. And as well, before we transition, we got big shout out to DJ Fat Tony, all the way from Florida. Yes, man. Saying here, my body doesn't bend that way.
Mine doesn't either.
Man, and I love it. And now it kind of helps me transition into the segment that I have called the randoms, which is 10 questions for each guest, that allows myself and the audience watching to kind of know a little bit more about you. These questions vary from anywhere from your favorite foods to some dance questions that I feel maybe get a little spicy, but also help people know the honest truth. So please let me know when you guys are ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Quick fire, go ahead.
All right. Number one is favorite food.
Go first.
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
Shoot. Oh, it's a fast one. Sweets. All types of sweets, particularly cookies. I love my cookies.
Okay.
I like everything salty. So like soupy, brothy, salty. Like
you get it?
Well, sweet and salty,
I know Canada, I believe it's Toronto, has some really good donuts. I've heard about
it.
Yes.
Yep.
Definitely.
Shout out to Andrea, Hannah.
Yes,
exactly.
Donut.
Right?
I know. I worked for her for a bit to do her customer service stuff, and I was bored and I needed some extra cash. So I was like, donut girl for her.
Yeah, think back, you'll see some hashtags donut dancers.
Yeah.
I have seen that. I guess you got I like that. All right. Next question is, if you were at an event right now, what is one song that you could dance to on a social dance floor?
That we would want to dance to?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh boy. Well, depending which room, bachata room, salsa room, or zouk room.
Right now, you can close your eyes and you can be, it doesn't even matter. It could be any room, just one song that you can have. You
know what's funny? Because this song has a sentimental value for me anyway. It's shockingly Hotline Bling bachata remix. Yeah. Because that was one of the first songs that we danced together.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm pretty sure she would agree with me on this one, but for her, and it's a staple in the zouk scene, like it's a classic. It's a Mickey Blue Eyes, the Breathe. It's a really good one. Like it's just a steady, strong beat. We love that one. Like her eyes light up, and it's just one of her favorite tracks. I love it. It's classic. It doesn't go anywhere. That's probably one of the two that we would hear and instantly like scurry to both bachata or the zouk.
Or zouk, yeah.
Yeah, it's songs
we'll stand in the middle and be like, which one is it?
I mean, for me, it's like, especially when you said Hotline Bling, and I believe that was by DJ Soul Tricks, that remix.
Yeah.
I love it. And especially with the Zook rooms, I completely understand because I've been in them, especially in New York, and seeing the atmosphere and certain songs just have a certain feel to it. And I think it works in both rooms, but I'm definitely loving those answers because especially using those for future events when things are safer. All right.
So you know what to spit on request. I give you that nudge. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. And when we do have events again, once I hear those songs, I hope I see you guys, so I could just go straight.
Sure. We'll be right there. We're right there.
Just for the 3'11" Asian at the back trying to get some attention.
Absolutely. All right. Next question is, what is your dream vacation destination?
For me, anywhere with beach and clear water. I don't care where it is.
Yeah, I would agree. Like for both part of us, we love the simplicity of just a quiet rustling water, sand. So it could be anywhere. In my case, for me, you know what? What's that place? I keep forgetting, the one that's in Spain.
Oh,
that one. I forget the name.
So there's this island in Spain that he's never been to, but I've been talking about it for years now.
I've looked at it. I can't remember it. But
for anybody who likes islands and beaches and clear water, it's called Formentera. It's right next to Ibiza. It's a very, very, very tiny island. You can't even see it in the map. But you basically have to take the boat from Ibiza.
And that's exactly where I want to be. I
will send you a picture. You understand.
Absolutely. Realizing that, especially with dancers, we might have big personalities, but inside we love solitude. Understanding nothing better than just being isolated from everyone except for you.
You can kick all that to the curb and just give us that there, and we will literally become missing people for like a good 4 hours.
We're actually like loners by nature. We like to remove ourselves from crowds. It's very interesting. Yeah, okay. No, for real.
All right, well, I'll tell you this. Not the next, but the last question. We're gonna go back to that.
We'll get there.
Next question is, what did you want to be at 10 years old?
At 10 years old? Oh my God.
I know.
I feel old now. I feel like that's a long time. That was like 20 years ago, bro. You know what? When I was 10, I wanted to actually be in the marketing field. I don't know why.
Already?
Yes, I wanted to be in marketing field. I wanted to be a designer. Jeez. I wanted to be a designer and like an event planner, and I want to do all these things. See, I've dabbled on things.
Davey, you good? He's like,
I'm just trying to think it back, but you know what? I remember, I think for me, it was my prime when I was just getting into like video games. Ooh. And I'm pretty sure for me, like I really wanted to get into like not game creating, game testing. Like I wanted to be that guy that say, this game sucks.
Sits on your couch and just be like criticizing on games. That sounds like a life.
I think I remember because there was a movie that I watched. I think it was 101 Dalmatians. I can't remember. But there was a kid that actually had to test the games, and I was like, this guy's got to win. All he has to do is just play the game, and like if the villain sucks, they have to change it. If the characters have terrible faces, change it. Like that was the life for me, man.
That would be cool. It's a big not into that.
Right? I don't know if I told you that actually.
Oh my God. All right. Well, next question here, and this is going to be dance related. We have the next two questions. If you could be at any dance event right now, what event would that be?
ADC, baby.
Oh yeah, definitely ADC.
Hey, I like that.
It has the island, the water that we're just talking about, the solitude, if you want it to be, and you get to dance. on a freaking cruise ship. So
for me, it's actually now based on that part. On the other end of on the flip side of the coin is that, like other congresses and everything, there's this low-key sense of like, I'm here to represent. I'm technically better than you because you don't know me, so I'm going to give this facade that I'm good and amazing. And we're all going to go on stage and compete to who's got the best looking routine, who's got the best social dance, who can get the most candid dance moves on screen in that video, so that way they represented the next Congress that they can go to. For ADC, it's the total opposite. Everyone knows there you're going to get pissed drunk out of your mind. Your routines are going to be terrible, if not passable at best. Everyone's drunk. Your routines are just part of the overall entertainment of the entire event. So for me, I love going to the events because I know if I'm going to perform or teach a workshop or anything like that, no one's there to judge me. No one's there to put criticism on, oh, I liked his workshop better. Oh, his show was much better. At the end of the day, the pressure's all relieved because at the end of the day, speak from an old soul like myself, I still want to go to these events and not have to stress that I'm going to suck or I'm going to do something, do a mistake on stage that's going to be remembered by everyone at that Congress. Then that will potentially not make me or not give me any publicity in a good way or positive way to go to the next event. ADC eliminates all those variables and it's just an overall great time.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that.
It's not, I can't even, it's one of the reasons why. So.
All right. Next question here. Definitely, I consider it a spicy question because everybody has different answers to this for both of you. What is, or I would say more or less, what would be a big don't for a person that would like to dance with you at an event?
A big don't. So like if somebody were to ask me to dance?
Yeah, so say for instance someone's asking you to dance, you're on a dance floor, what is something like a huge
perspective, I guess, for you?
So as a follow, the big don't and turn off for me if somebody asks me to dance and they're not dancing with me. So meaning like they're dancing with themselves or they're doing way too many things at the same time, not really, respecting my capabilities or who I am, or not even really knowing who I am. And they, they kind of, they just dance for themselves or to show off or whatever. Like I don't respect that at all. I mean, if I'm dancing with you because I want to dance with you, I don't want to dance for a camera, nor do I want to, be contorted in all sorts of ways because you don't know me, right? Don't show off. You don't need to show off. Less is more. If we can groove and we can, if you're dancing to the music, I would take that over any dips and whatever, hair flicks, whatever else it may be. Right?
Yeah.
Like Fat Tony said, I don't bend that way. And you don't know if I bend that way or not. So
it's one of the reasons why the compatibility works so well, because for me, I'm the exact same way. For me as a lead, the don'ts and that I rather not have, especially when I go to a dance floor, whether it be zouk or bachata or salsa, whatever, is I'm already limited. And a lot of the notions that a lot of followers take on when they get to dance with either a pro or someone who's been in the scene for so long and a respected reference of that genre is going to expect to make them do all these crazy moves because they want to look like that person who they've been idolizing. For me, I want to get to know in those 3 minutes the kind of dancer you are, just like you would be at home. Like if you know that you don't have prying eyes, trying to look like everyone at the dance floor, having the best hair whips, the sickest moves, I just want to groove out. I want to have a good time. At the end of the day, you go to the dance not to have the pressure, which a lot of male leads have, is trying to keep their partner entertained with all the flashiest moves, because many guys that I've come to, whether instructed at a workshop or privates, they always have this fear of like, I got 3 minutes to impress this girl, or else I know she's not going to want to dance with me.
There's a lot of pressure on the leads, right?
And I've tried to break that in every workshop, in every performance that I do, is that you don't need all of that to create a memorable dance. To me, it's overflowed by everything that's done in social media with that. You gotta tantalize her, you gotta bend her backwards, you gotta get all up in her face, her grill, her chest, just to make sure that she remembers you. There's so many other ways.
So many other ways.
I love that I asked this because I could feel that was a question like burning
It's
inside.
like getting red.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just it's a personal demon that I'm also trying to shake off because a lot of times because we're outnumbered and what we do is a lot of people are trying to create the new trend, the newest move, and then have that catch on, and then you want to be known as like, oh, that's a Davy move, or that's a Daniel Desi move, whatever you want to call it nowadays. It's just I don't want to be associated with a move or with that move in order to be great. Like there's so many things that I can do, like as you mentioned, that we can pull off that no one else can, which is just pure, genuine fun that everyone else can do in their own specific way.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't understand why a lot of the audience out there can't just accept that as, wow, that's so much fun, or like, oh, that's cool, let's learn that too.
Yes.
So-
Absolutely. And now that leads me to my next question, and this is definitely a fun one. What would be your superpower?
My superpower. Amazing.
These questions are deep.
I like it. That's so incredible.
Really, like,
It goes deep and shallow. It goes deep and little.
I'll go first. I'll let you think about this.
You wanna
So
go first?
for my superpower, I would love to have kind of like that Professor X Xavier kind of vibe. Only reason why I say that is because there's so much human emotion that cannot be translated into physical vocals or expressions that we always just kind of bury mentally. For me, as a dancer, I've always found music to be therapeutic, to bring out the best in you, the worst in you. If I had that power to kind of just read minds, as Professor X would be able to, and kind of manipulate, if I can do it in 3 minutes a time to kind of help that person if they're down, let's say they're overburdened with debt, let's say they haven't seen their family because of this COVID stuff, like give me one dance to help you forget. I want to know what that problem is, what's bugging you there. If you're happy or if you're sad, like all these things, I want to cater to those feelings. To me, that's the best way to leave a memorable mark of what you do in this dance life of yours that we're all given, because they want to always feel that, because emotions are priceless and they never go away. Like to me, that's the strongest power that I can ever hope to have.
Bro, that's so deep. How do I top that? I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? I've never heard you speak this way.
Sorry.
I'm like, how do I even top that? I was just gonna be like,
I want to fly.
I'm like, I want to fly. No.
See, flying is, it's essential because think about it. Or flying or teleportation. You can get to where you gotta go.
Yes.
Go for it.
I think like now that you mentioned teleportation, there's two things now that I would want to have. One, is because I like to sit back and observe. This is my personality. I'm a Taurus.
Yeah.
I'm a grounded person. I like to observe people around me, and I also sense different things of people. I'm like a fly in the wall, right?
You're a people watcher. I'm a
people watcher. So I want to be like that invisible person who can just observe and take it in, right? It's kind of like something that I realize that I have. When I walk into a room, I can sense where the assholes are. I can sense where all the cool people are. I can sense who I should avoid. And I'm pretty low key, and I'm small, so nobody sees me. Right? If I had to be invisible and do everything, I'd be like everywhere, looking at everything. She
can literally just walk underneath everyone's parallel hand, literally. Like she is here, and then there she goes.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I mean, that is obviously a great one because I'm pretty ADD with things, so I like to learn things, and I like to be at various places at the same time. So that would be amazing.
All right. This next one, definitely a lot of my guests really get into. It can be emotional for some people because they haven't thought about it. But the question is, could you name 3 people that have been most influential to you at this point in your life? And it can be dance related or life in general.
That's a deep one too. Okay.
You go first.
Got some deep questions in here. three people, right? I mean, if I were to name like my parents, both of them, would that count as two or like one group?
Oh, that could be considered as one. You can
As one.
bind.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, in life in general, I have to put my parents up there because they have a different mentality when it comes to like life and living life. And I got a lot of what I know now from them. And they're like, you know, we moved our entire family, we uprooted from Indonesia when I was 10 with my sister and myself and my two parents. And we left our entire life there and moved to Canada, right? And my parents came from, you know, they were entrepreneurs. They have their own, they were always entrepreneurs. And they, you know, both my mom and my dad worked so hard in their lifetime to basically create this life for us to be able to move out of Indonesia and go to Canada, which is, a richer country. There's more things to do, more opportunities, more everything, and, you know, better livelihood as well, better healthcare, better education, all that stuff. So that I got to give to my parents, and that's probably why I'm like, you know, the way I am now. The fight, the strength, the struggles, and going through all of those things that came from, you know, the hustler days of like the old school hustlers from, you know, third world country essentially, right? So that's still a big part of me for sure. That some people may not know actually. So and the second one, I would say, let's say talk about dance. The second one for dancing, I have to give it to my very first dance partner when I was still like 18. And this was when I started teaching for the first time ever. I was his assistant. His name is Ronald. He is from Vancouver, Victoria, specifically the Vancouver Island. And he was the first person that kind of like picked me up and, you know, had faith in me and took me in under his wings and showed me the ways. And he's from El Salvador, so we kind of grew up with this type of dance, right? And you know, he taught me everything there is to know about in the Cuban motion and the basics. And he was the one who grilled me on my basics. And he was the one who taught me how to teach body movement, like the Latin body movement, all that stuff. I learned from him actually before I even knew anything about the dance world at all. So I gotta give him kudos for influencing me in this dance world. And the third one, I would say something more recent is this yogi that I follow because I'm also a yogi. Her name is Marisha, and she's out of the States, I believe. And this woman is like a beast. She's very strong. She's a wonderful person. And I've been following her a lot this past year, especially throughout COVID and like my training in yoga and all that stuff. And she really inspired me to take the time to understand yoga and to understand the actual mentality that comes with yoga that people don't think about. So, and that kind of like, that really helps with having the mentality of learning, of, you know, accepting who you are and like accepting your body and accepting what your body can do. And all of that stuff I learned from this woman. So she's obviously I've never met her before in person. She's a public figure, but she was definitely a most recent one that I can think of that turned my mentality around throughout this COVID madness, that helped me kind of realize myself, right, and my capabilities.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Your turn.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
All right, so I'm coming from the softy that I am, so I might ball. Full disclaimer. So
yeah, he's a total softy.
You know what? I'm gonna count the same thing of my parents. It's, you know, maybe cliche, but you know what? My dad has been a dancer from the start. He's actually he came here. He was an old school DJ. He used to spin records. He self-taught himself to dance. He told me the story all the time that his first dance he ever learned was with his mom, cha-cha. And unfortunately, my dad lost both his parents before he was 18. So it's one of the stories that resonate with me, that after he learned cha-cha, he learned everything else that he could because it was one of the fondest memories that he can remember from his parents. My mom, on the other hand, actually, surprisingly enough, always had the bug for dancing, but unfortunately, due to how she was raised in a type of religion where dancing was not allowed at the time. So as time progressed, my dad kind of influenced that bug of hers. And as she got older, and as my grandparents kind of just accepted it over time, that generations, time change, people want to do things. And my mom picked up dance. She learned how to teach. She's currently still teaching line dancing that's her thing. So she taught herself how to count, how to dance, all this stuff like that. She doesn't have the musical ear like my dad does. My mom actually has more of the numerical count. It's not the best count, but it's still something that I respect. Both of them have kind of kept me on my ways that, what, at the end of the day, if you want it, especially when it comes to dance, you can make it happen. My dad was handicapped with that from the start financially, and my mom was handicapped from personal religious reasons. So kudos to my parents for that. Secondly, I wonder if he's listening, it probably would actually be Cadence, Clifton. One of the reasons why I would say Clifton is because he's been my longest teacher in dance, and as well as a director and coach to me. I haven't had a lot of instructors or teachers, let alone people that I'm close to, that have been through me thick and thin through a lot of my endeavors, especially with dance. As mentioned before, with my my injury with my knee, he's seen me at all sizes, literally from 250 to 200 to I've had yo-yos from that. And he's seen me at my worst with my injuries, and he's got me through a lot of it. He knows it all, he's seen it all, and has kept me pushing through. So Clifton, man, you got me through all those darkest days. So that's Clifton for you for one of my second motivation in the dance scene. And third, you know what? I'd have to say it's you, babe.
Aww.
And it may be tough, but you know what? To be completely honest, and I've mentioned to you before, is that I was actually in a really, not dark place, but in my dance, I was very complacent. I was in a very non-motivated state. I just kind of felt like, I'm part of Cadence, I'm good. I don't need to improve. I got everything. Nothing's gonna come my way. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just gonna enjoy it and keep going at it. But when E came along here, it kind of just brought me a new ambition, a new perspective, which kind of brought back the reason why I kind of got into what I wanted to do, which is the dance part of it and the appreciation of that, the fun that it can literally just be a part of your life and not have to run it in a negative way where you have to always constantly push yourself to be better than the next, worry about falling behind with the rest of the competition. Like I finally kind of like found that perfect balance with her, is that she's kind of made me realize that I'm not perfect. I'm far from it, but keep doing what you do and keep that strong, and you're honestly going to be making amazing things.
So cute.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I love the honesty. I love it.
It's it's one of the biggest things, babe, and honestly, like I can't thank you enough for that. Like I can genuinely continue this and go on for the rest of my days.
Oh my God, stop.
So
It was fireworks, man.
I mean, on this podcast, I just love that the artist can feel comfortable to be honest, because a lot of these questions, especially that question, gets people because over the years, you're just going and going and going with the flow, and you don't get to take time to appreciate what's in front of you. So this question, I love it. I mean,
yeah.
Especially this year.
Like we've been
rough for people, right?
We've been in here day in, day out, literally 24 hours a day, haven't left the place, haven't bit each other off.
We haven't killed each other. So
we've had rehearsals, we've grown, we've worked out, healthy, stayed healthy. We've done everything that has kept ourselves sane, and the biggest part of that sanity is just each other's company. Like it's just when you have someone that you don't have to feel pressure to be someone you're not, whether it be creatively or financially or there's a strong balance. And like the old saying goes, like behind every strong man is a great woman, like or even stronger woman. So it's
the stronger woman that's weeping right now.
Behind every strong man is a woman rolling her eyes. So we can go both ways.
I like that. Well, I appreciate definitely these answers. And I think this next question will probably bring some levity and some relief pretty simple. What is your favorite color?
I can answer yours.
You can answer
I
mine.
can tell you right now.
Actually, I like this. Let's switch it. Meaning is, I want to see if Davy knows Elina's favorite color, and if Elina knows Davy's favorite color.
I can go in a whole spectrum of colors, but the most part of it, she loves her lavenders, her pastel colors.
I'm wearing kind of like lavender right now too. See.
Okay.
Like she loves that baby purple, lavender kind of type colors. That's even the smell too, kind of like goes into it.
True.
She loves it.
Like lavender, everything in the apartment.
Literally, it's like everyday Easter in her closet. Like it's pastel. All those pastel
Easter eggs. His is blue. He's wearing it right now, but any kind of blues.
I like that.
I think I'm right.
You guys know each other. I mean, this is a very simple, simple question.
Simple. The colors are giveaway, but that's what it is.
For Elina's lavender, and for Davy is blue. Blue is also my favorite color, so definitely kudos to that. Okay. And now, this helps me hit the last question, which I talked about earlier. And you talked about, just what you would need in kind of a place of solitude. So this one definitely gets people. And let's see, because we have both of you here, so I think you can help each other out. And this one, I want to see how fast or what comes up quickly in your mind. So the question is, the last question, if you're on an island, but disclaimer, there is no Wi-Fi, what are 3 things that you would have to have with you?
My music.
Music. Yeah, I was going to say speaker with music. It could be one playlist with 20 songs because we have no Wi-Fi. We only have the downloaded version.
That's fine.
We can listen to the same music, 20 songs for like a year. We can
100%. So 3 things. It would be a speaker, a music source, i.e. downloaded music or record or CD.
Or CD.
That's all it could be.
MP3 player.
Or sunblock.
Sunblock.
Yeah. That's the 3. I don't know. You think of it.
And some salty snacks.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I forgot about that one.
Not a plane, not a boat. So I guess you're gonna stay on this island permanently.
We're totally good.
Just give us some music, some salty snacks, and maybe cookies for him.
That's it.
And then
I'm totally good with that.
We can be away from the world as long as we have our music. We'll just live in there.
Believe it or not, we're good.
Yeah, you don't need no planes. It's fine. I'll give up my remote island by myself with music.
I like that. I definitely, and I think definitely this part of the interview was awesome. Having the time with these 10 questions, really getting to understand both of you better, emotional aspect, but just on a human side, and realizing, that even as dancers and we're such in a public forum, we really do enjoy solitude, isolation, and just being with people that we love, and realizing, especially with the question of influences, how that really takes people back and it makes them think, because the positions that we're in now, realizing the people that helped us along the way, is definitely great to reminisce about. So I'm thankful that you guys were able to do this. It was awesome. And now it kind of helps me transition into the present day, and with COVID, and realizing, as we've talked before, that when COVID hit, it really ravaged our dance community in whole, not just in the States, not just in Canada, but globally. And realizing we were at events one weekend, and the next weekend, and the next week, and next month, there were no events. And realizing that, a lot of us took dancing for granted because we were so used to going to events, but also a lot of the artists who I've talked to as well have said, 2020 was their year for many of so realizing that many of us had to learn to adapt. We've seen over the past few months, a lot of artists, I would say, including yourselves, have been able to still be consistent, still pushing your brand forward, but I've also seen many artists that I've seen over the years not be able to keep that same consistency and kind of almost falling by the wayside. So for me, I would love to know from both of you over these last few months, how you've been able to adapt but also talking maybe about things that you've learned over time.
Hmm. Um, let me start.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I think, I mean, I think I can, this section anyway can speak for both of us. Like we've learned, you know, kind of one, to roll with the punches,
Yeah.
but secondly, to roll with the punches, but, you know, have purpose, right? We have, you know, we've worked really hard this year because of COVID, and, you know, kind of silver lining from the COVID lockdown, that we've been having the time to self-care for sure. And that's like the biggest thing for this year that's changed the most for both of us individually, like as a person. We've taken a lot of time into self-care. I'm going through some physical rehab therapies for, you know, my hip and my back, my spine and everything. And he's been maintaining, you know, his exercise and routines so we can both be stronger, so we can both, you know, still train and put our strength into dancing. And this is something that like I had never had the luxury of time of doing before, because, you know, other priorities in life that were more fun would take over, right? But now with COVID, we make that, as much as we, you know, we were rolling the punches, but we also had goals and had our personal goals in mind. You know, like for example, like I wanted to be able to do, you know, some technical things. I want to improve my techniques. This is the time to do it. I wanted to improve my strength and conditioning, Pilates, yoga. Like I want to improve everything that I can at my age. And it's a lot. Not, I mean, granted, I'm still young, but still, I'm not 18. Like you know, neither of us are 18. We have to work harder to maintain our body, our shape, and our flexibility and our strength. It's, you know, we don't recover as fast as anymore as when we were 18, dancing and contorting our bodies. So that's been a main focus as dancers anyway, to keep up with personal training and strength training, to make sure that we are in shape for whatever's coming next, right? We don't know when that's going to be, but we want to be ready for whatever's coming. Exactly. You know, and in terms of our, you know, dancing as well, like we've just been trying to push out videos because we can't perform anymore, but we don't want to stop our training, right? And for a lot of people, I'm sure they can relate, a lot of performers especially, we strive on performing and being on stage and in the spotlight and delivering entertainment to people, right? If we don't have that feedback, it's hard for us to stay motivated. So, you know, that's why we started doing these videos, and we have a couple more video projects that's we're actually going to film next week. So it's going to come out soon. We have a new routine. So we made a goal for ourselves. Like, listen, since we can't perform on stage, we can. Who says we still can't perform? You know, we can perform. Yeah. There's videos that actually last longer. It can be shareable to anybody in the world, right? Permanent there. So that's free. And so, you know, so we've been focusing on energy on that and actually having goals for ourselves. Like, okay, we're gonna do this routine. We're gonna record a video. You know, and that's going to be our goal. And that's just the same thing as having a goal to perform on stage. And that's how we've been coping with our training as well, like having those mini little goals so that we don't stop in our tracks, right? You never know what's going to happen next year. We want to be ready for whatever's coming.
So reluctantly bring on 2021.
No, absolutely. And, you know, realizing, talking to you both, understanding the beginnings, the experiences along the way, and really understanding your present, realizing that you guys still always, no matter through any adversity, any obstacles, are finding the balance and finding the positive outlook in things, because realizing, especially what we're going through now with COVID that we're still going through, realizing I can say in my best opinion that other countries have handled it much better than the States, in my opinion, but also realizing that many artists are understanding that you have to adapt to every situation. You're not able to perform at a Congress, bring that performance to the people virtually, because you know, you still have those same fans that love you online, and you can still reach them through classes, through visual performances, and etc. So realizing that there really is no excuse. If you want to put your brand out there, yeah, and you still want to promote yourself. And one thing, again, I can definitely say throughout our talk tonight that I appreciated was both of you not being afraid to show your vulnerability, whether it's through the experiences you talk about, whether it's through the visuals that you put out showing the kind of the timeline of your growth. I think it's really important that other dancers follow that lead, because I think many dancers are limiting themselves of just trying to focus on being that perfect image. In reality, there is
Yeah.
no such thing as perfect, in
Mhm.
my opinion, because
I'm
even
with
when, even when we say, "Oh, I did the best show or the perfect show," you look at it and you always find something else. You always
There's always
find
something. Yeah. Yeah.
more.
And
So,
but the thing is with with putting things out on social media and online and all that stuff, those things are permanent, right? And there's a lot
yeah,
of fear around artists and dancers with because this is our craft, this is what we're passionate about. If you criticize our art, that you're criticizing us, right? So there's that aspect of it that could be very fearful for other people to put themselves out there, because
mhm,
people can be cruel. There's cyberbullying. People get very cruel. People can criticize you, and I think for the most part, like, what you need to do is just focus on yourself. Like, we don't care what other people think of us. Like, we're not in it for the likes nor for the fame or glory or whatever. Like, we could care less. If that ever came about, that's a plus. It's a bonus. But
yeah,
the whole point of our partnership and what we do is so that we can hopefully maybe inspire a spark in one person.
Yeah.
That's that's the goal, right? The bonus is if people actually do pay attention to us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a different mentality, right?
I'm gonna give you a mic drop moment here. Mic drop moment. Dance to express, not to impress.
Oh,
yes, my
Allah.
God. But also,
Like,
I would say this, a better even quote besides that is still Elina's with "less is more," and I'm still loving it. And
sure,
honestly, guys,
motto.
I've had a ultimate pleasure of having you on tonight. Learning about your lives before dance really kind of took over in a sense and kind of gave you a new experience. Being able to learn about both of you, everything from your favorite foods, to do's and don'ts, and so much more. So it's been awesome having you on tonight. But at least before we do go, if you had any last words for myself in the audience, but also how people can reach you to kind of find out more about what you guys are up to.
Yeah, for sure. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. Or it's usually probably going to be me responding to stuff. So,
yeah.
So
she's got access to my Facebook, so you just
wherever
you go,
you'll find both of us. Either way, we're very happy to answer whatever questions you may have. Like, we're we're chill people. We don't really care who you are. If you have questions, we'd love to answer. And we'd love to help for the most part. We just want to help people. If you have any problems or anything like that, dance related or whatever it may be, feel free to reach out. We're, as you can see in this, if you're listening, we pretty much have like zero filters.
Leads alike. Anything. If you have any questions questioning your following or questioning issues against your leading, men, follows, leads, female follows, same thing. If you just need that person to, just like anything in the situation, if you need someone just to talk to about how you feel about it, whether you feel like you're getting rusty or you feel like that you don't have anything else to work with it, like you said.
If you want some exercise tips or whatever, I'm happy to help. We're all about that. So,
shameless plug. She's a certified yoga instructor. So if you have anything going on,
I'm your girl. I'm happy to help. Hop on a call. Just video call away.
All right.
But awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been super.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, tonight has been awesome for me because, again, with every guest that I have on, I get to learn a lot more about the artists here because I feel I've created a platform that is a safe space for many of people to feel vulnerable.
Amazing.
Yes.
Because there have been so many times that we're at events and we have to have a certain presentation at all times. And, there's only very few times we could kind of let loose and just be ourselves in totality. But, again, tonight's been awesome. Much love, especially to Canada, because, again, I believe, and I know Canada has some amazing talent, amazing people. For example, right here with you guys. And, again, I thank you all. And, like I tell many of my guests, this is our first interview, but I definitely know it won't be our last. And I would love to have you on for 2021 because I definitely want to get into with our next talk about really the inner workings at events and things that you guys love and things that you guys hate and things that event organizers and festival organizers can improve on. Because I think as we go into New Year's, as times change, we also need to have improvements in the events we love because we're the same artists that upstairs in the room we're talking about how, oh, this is cool, but I didn't like this. Now let's let these organizers know. So in return, when we do come back, we can see some change. So, I'm definitely thankful to have you guys on tonight. Absolutely.
We'll be there.
Right. And if you're ever down in Toronto, we'll hit up that Jollibee, get you some donuts through our connections. We got you.
Or get some poutine.
I definitely, you know what? I might even try to get, I'm definitely going to say my next interview with you guys, I'd love to do a nice Canada reel with you, hopefully Clifton and some other Canadian.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Go for it.
I'm going to set that up hopefully next year. But, thank you guys again for a wonderful night.
Yes, thank you.
Everyone listening. Hope everyone has a great night. Have a great weekend. And again, stay safe.